So when people ask me what my favorite attraction to work at was, I surprise them by saying the riverboat. Many people think, oh, it should be the Haunted Mansion or Pirates of the Caribbean. And yes, those were fun rides to work at, to be in character as a Haunted Mansion butler or a pirate. But my favorite attraction to work at was the riverboat. And that was for a few reasons. One, when you work at the riverboat, when you get back to that back section behind Big Thunder Mountain, you're in another world, especially when you're by that second Indian village. You are no longer in the Magic Kingdom. You are out in the wilderness. You feel like you are really transported back to the mid-19th century and are on a riverboat. You leave the Magic Kingdom and all of that behind, and you're just out in the wilderness, and it's incredibly surreal and tranquil and peaceful to be on this boat. And then the second reason is you get to operate a steam engine and a boiler, and that's a lot of fun. Plus, you get to do things like be up in the wheelhouse and blow a whistle and ring a bell and control the paddle wheel. It's just a fun attraction. And there's a very small group of people who actually operate it, because in any one day we only have 4 or 5 people who operate the attraction. And it's a very small group of people who train at the attraction. So it's a very tight-knit community. And everyone who's ever worked the riverboat will tell you that that is their favorite attraction to work at. We even joke sometimes that if we had all the money in the world, if we could have any job, it would just be to work at the riverboat. That's how much we'd enjoyed it. So when Disney announced they were getting rid of the Rivers of America and the riverboat,
No! God, please, no! No!
Yeah, I was pissed. I was very, very angry. And a few reasons. Not only for the emotional reason that I was attached to the attraction from working there, but because that entire section of the park has such an ambiance that feels disrespectful to just shove IP into it, and this thrill ride and cars and speeding around, and it literally feels like they're paving over paradise to put up a parking lot. Now I understand from a business standpoint that it's a valuable piece of real estate and there's a lot more they could do with it and there could be a better guest satisfier there. I get all that, but it sucks. And I love the riverboat. I love the riverboat so much that I'll get it. I'll show you. My last trip to Tokyo Disneyland, we went to the Emporium and I saw this. It looks almost identical to our riverboat at Walt Disney World, the Magic Kingdom. But it's not. It's the Tokyo Disneyland riverboat. But that's not what makes it special. What makes it special to me is... Here, this is the riverboat landing, which at Tokyo Disneyland is the same as our riverboat landing at Walt Disney World. And it's got a little paddle wheel that moves too. So it took a year to build this. But this shows you how much I love the riverboat and what a special attraction it is to me. So when I first saw the original concept art for what they wanted to do to the Rivers of America, I was disappointed. It just looked awful to me. I don't know if it was the art style or what it was, but it just looked awful. It looked not good at all. But one thing I did notice was in the lower part of the screen was the riverboat landing. So in the original concept they showed us there was the riverboat landing. It's there. And that made me happy because I felt, well, at least a part of what I knew and what I was emotionally attached to was going to stay. But the rest of the area just looked crowded and busy, and it looked like they were trying to shoehorn a lot into this space, and it wasn't going to be doing it justice. But then when they showed this fun map this week, once I actually saw the fun map, feelings changed. I became cautiously optimistic. Why? First of all, they kept part of the river. Compared to the original concept art, there was little to no river, at least visible at all. It just looked, it looked blurry. Everything looked blurry in it. Like they weren't even too sure. They weren't too sure if they wanted to commit to this idea. But in this fun map, you can see the river is there. And it even looks like there's rapids. And that's very important because the river provides natural cooling to that area of the park. So getting rid of it would just make that whole area so much hotter. But keeping the river not only could provide cooling for that area, but also psychologically, when we see water, it helps cool us down. So that's really important. And it also provides ambiance to that area of the park. Second, looking at the water, there is waterfalls. It looks like the water will actually be kind of rapids-ish. There's geysers. there's all this kinetic energy that's now currently missing from the rivers of America. And that's really important. To bring back that kinetic energy makes the area feel lived in. It brings a lot more contrast and feeling to the area than is currently there right now. So that's really good. I'm glad that they decided to keep part of the river. That's important. This river also sort of reminds me of like what they have at Fort Wilderness Lodge, where they have the geyser bubbling up in the hotel lobby and it works its way out to the pool. If they could do something like that, but on a larger, grander scale with more trees and shrubs and flora, then I think that will be done very successfully, and it'll make the area look much better and feel better too. Next, now originally they said there's only going to be 2 attractions: the Radiator Springs racer style off-roading attraction, and then something that's either like Tow Mater's Junkyard Spin. What is it called? Hang on. If I'm gonna talk about it, I better know what I'm saying. Mater's Junkyard Jamboree. That's the proper nomenclature. Or Luigi's Rollickin' Roadsters. That's the proper nomenclature. So an attraction like that. But to my eye, it looks like they could potentially have some additional A or B ticket attractions here. Maybe even some trails or areas that are off the beaten path that can provide people a sensory escape. Because what's so nice about the riverboat and Tom Sawyer's Island right now is it can provide you with a sensory escape. You can get away from the park and breathe and just relax if you want to. And I knew there were some people, some annual pass holders primarily, but people would bring snacks and food and a book or two, and they would go to Tom Sawyer's Island, or they'd go on the riverboat and just spend the entire day there relaxing because they found it very tranquil to be in those areas. So looking at this fun map, it looks like there is potential for those spaces. And this to me is really important for a number of reasons. One, it harkens back to certain areas that we've seen in other Disney parks, like the Gardens of Wonder at Hong Kong Disneyland, or Fortress Explorations and the Leonardo Challenge at Tokyo DisneySea, or even a very unknown area of Shanghai Disney in Adventure Isle called the Vista Trails. It is this trail that goes around and through the mountain at Adventure Isle, and it works its way underneath the challenge trails. So those individuals who aren't interested in going on the challenge trails, they can look up at the challenge trail people, but also there's these little alcoves and waterfalls and green spaces that you can just wander into and enjoy and explore on your own. And so if they bring that type of element to this part of this park, this Piston Peak, this national park they're trying to recreate, that gets me excited. Because Raleigh Crump, one of the famous Imagineers, talked about how Disneyland and Disney parks should be like a salad. That you have all these different elements and there's something in it for everyone. There's tomatoes, there's onions, there's cucumbers, there's lettuce. There's something for everyone. And if they can provide that level of entertainment or experience for guests, that there's something for everyone, that makes me really excited for the area. So the TLDR from this riverboater is, I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm still pissed that the boat is leaving, but I'm glad to experience it. I'm very happy I got to have that. In fact, more personal history. One of the earliest memories I have is with my dad holding me on the riverboat, and we have some video of it, I think, here. So there's this connection going all the way back to my childhood that I didn't even know one day I would operate that riverboat. But hopefully they make the most out of this land and they really plus it and make sure that there is something for everyone. Because just like a national park, if they're going for this national park theme, a national park has things for everyone, right? There are thrills, like people could go mountain climbing or intense hiking, I guess that's a thing, or more chills, things for you to chill out, right? So you can do easy hiking or just relax or get in touch with nature. So if they can really try to make this area very special and do something important with it and really plus it, make sure there's something for everyone, that there's opportunities for having breathing room and places to escape, then I think it'll be a good replacement for the Rivers of America. I'm willing to sacrifice the riverboat if they do a good job with this and they really put the care into making sure that this area fits with the surrounding land of the Haunted Mansion and Liberty Square and the current Frontierland, but more importantly, uses the space wisely to provide an experience that for everyone, that people can find something that they want to enjoy in all of it. And then I hope they do something special with the riverboat. the Liberty Belle. They better not just throw it into the landfill. They got to do something special with it. It's part of the park's history. You know, we used to have, it's the second riverboat. The Magic Kingdom used to have 2 riverboats. We had the Admiral Joe Fowler, which was the first one that opened with the park. It had 2 smokestacks, like the Mark Twain in California and Tokyo Disneyland. And then the Admiral Joe Fowler, which is the Liberty Belle Riverboat, which has the 1 smokestack in the middle. Can you imagine that back then, the riverboat was so popular, they had to build 2 of them. They had 2 of them. The second one came online in the 1980s. So they had 2 riverboats. And that's why when you get around to the backside of the riverboat blows its whistle, because that was the halfway mark. It is the halfway mark, and it's to tell the other riverboat at the landing to shove off. So that's how popular it was, to go from needing 2 riverboats to 1 to getting rid of the whole dang thing. Wow, how times have changed. But at least I'll still have my riverboat here. Mark Twain. Red flag. Red flag, touch it, Captain. Settlers' cabins aflame. Deck crew, stand watch. If you haven't heard about the time I almost crashed the riverboat, you can check that out over here. Otherwise, I'll see you next time. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to Liberty Square. On behalf of myself and the crew of the Liberty Belle Riverboat, we'd like to thank you for plying the waterways with us. Now, at this time, collect all of your personal belongings, take those small children by the hand, and head on down to the bottom deck. That is the deck closest to the water and where you will find the one and only exit off of this here Liberty Belle Riverboat. Now, if you come across a stairwell that's got people on it, and there's a line, well, not to worry, just head to the other side of the boat, and you will find a completely empty stairwell that will take you down to the bottom of the boat and our one and only exit. Once again, thank you for applying the waterways with us, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your day here in Liberty Square. I think that was my spiel. I think that was my exit spiel. Unload spiel. Spiel. It's even got, you can even see the a little bit of a engine room in there and stuff. It took me a year to build this thing. It's tough. All right. Back you go, riverboat. Thank you.